Study tips tend to be universal, but I think anyone who knows enough about the Australian ATAR can recognise it's a unique system, and there are definitely some specific pieces of advice I wish I had have known. Good morning. Today I'll be sharing some tips to help improve your ATAR. I've compiled these from my own experiences and mistakes, as well as the experiences of friends, chatting about things that helps to achieve 90 plus ATARs, or whatever your goal rank may be. I'll be explaining 3 mistakes I made that many others face too, and the exact strategies I used to overcome them. I just wish I had have done these things earlier. Firstly, we'll discuss danger zones in subject selection. Secondly, the unexpected key to exam strategy. Thirdly, the less known ways you should be marking your work. I graduated in 2019, which was the first year of the HSC's updated syllabus, so I have some interesting insight from that. I will note this may have a HSC slant, but everything is ATAR applicable. Number 1, be careful with how you pick your subjects. I had heard this one before, I just didn't fully understand it until it was too late. A short story time about why I say this. I did maths. I did it accelerated, meaning my class did the course quickly and we set the exam in year 11. I did quite well, but I absolutely regret it. How much do I regret it? Well, if I were to rate my overall year 11 experience, where I sat one subject that counted for my ATAR, I would give that a 6. If I were to rate year 12, where I sat the other 6 subjects, I would give that a 9. In maths, none of the concepts came easily. I was working disproportionately hard for the results I was getting. My other subjects began to suffer. My self-doubt was increasing, and even when I finally finished, it took my self-confidence and creativity a couple months to bounce back. I didn't even use the mark for my ATAR, even though I studied so much harder for that exam than all my other subjects. And my other subjects weren't exactly high scaling subjects. I did better in drama and art. The silver lining is that I did do maths a year early, so I did not have to attempt that with my other HSC subjects, because I am sure if I did, my health and my ATAR would have suffered. So why did I pick maths? I thought I was making a wise choice. I had this preconceived idea that smart kids do maths. I was doing quite well, even if it did require obscene amounts of time. And I thought the scaling would just fix everything up. Also, both my parents are accountants, so there was some slight encouragement. I'm definitely not saying that maths is the problem or that it will cause you all these things. There are much greater lessons from this story. Forget your assumptions about the subject. Pick subjects that play to your strengths. Forget the opinions of others because you'll be the one studying it. And forget about scaling. Your enjoyment and mental health is more important than scaling and often leads to better marks. Maybe what I felt about maths is what you feel about English and you think you should do advanced or extension English. This part is important because I got caught in this trap. Knowing I'll do fine is not enough. Don't pour your life force out for 80s in advanced English when you could be saving that time and mental strength for 90s in biology. The only exception is if a subject you do not enjoy is a prerequisite for your goal degree. Be careful you're choosing the right degree, because if the assumed knowledge already pains you, might not be a good sign. Or seriously take the time to consider bridging courses, because subjects can make the difference in both your ATAR and your enjoyment of your final years of high school. Number 2, exam strategy, the importance of writing speed. I had heard my entire schooling life, the exams are still handwritten, make sure you can write fast. And I never had a problem, even in year 11, and even though I've naturally been a slow writer and opted for typing. But when I was in year 12, it became an issue. I remember one particular exam halfway through the year. I was peer marking a friend's practice and I noticed her essay was about 1,100 words, where the max I could write in that time was 800. This was in 45 minutes. And obviously those numbers changed a lot by the end of the year. But I remember thinking, even if what I've written is more succinct and relevant, that's 300 words, a whole paragraph of marks she could be getting that I just forfeit. From there, it was a battle to get my speed up. As a general rule, you should be trying to reach 900 words in 45 minutes by the final exams. That's about 20 words per minute. My friend who was reaching 1,100 by the middle of the year was amazing and also an anomaly, so don't worry about that. I did end up getting to about 20 words per minute, but I wish I had have sooner. There were too many exams where I could have answered the question almost perfectly. I just couldn't get the words onto the paper fast enough. How did I speed up? I didn't put batteries on the end of my pen. That messes with your pen grip and your hand, and I believe you should aim to train as close to how you will perform. I didn't lock my computer in a dark room and handwrite absolutely everything. That would have wasted time as I typed up all the notes again. And the most efficient way to write an essay, especially the first drafts, is on a computer where you can easily go back and make changes. This is what I did in the second half of the year and wish I had have done sooner. Number 1, before I handed anything in, even if I was emailing it in, I would handwrite it as fast as I could. There are a bunch of benefits to doing this. You can time yourself to see where your speed is at and see how you're improving. Because your brain reads faster than your hand can write, you will naturally see ways to cut and rearrange words that will make your writing more succinct. And if you struggle with spelling like me and many people in a world of autocorrect, this method helps with spelling. Secondly, I realized I should have been doing more practice papers under exam conditions. In the first half of the year, I would spend way too much time perfecting the same essay I had written and sent in to my teacher for feedback. Instead, in the second half of the year, I would get the essay back, update it as quickly as possible, learn from why I made the mistakes, then spend the rest of the time just doing exam conditions practices. This was much better. Not only does it improve your writing speed, it allows you to work on exam strategy and gives you a more accurate depiction of how you will actually perform in the exam. For example, I learned that it took me 10 minutes to write an introduction to an unseen question. Even though I could technically write the words out in half that time, I hadn't factored in thinking time. Before an assessment, aim to do at least 2 exam conditions practice papers. Before the trials, at least 4. And before the final exams, I don't want to give you a number to scare you, but as many as you can. The third thing I did to improve my writing speed, especially before the trials and the final exams, was to handwrite my notes instead of printing them out. Please stop wasting your time with nice colors, fonts, and spacing. Just stop, unless it makes you really happy. My advice is to keep the notes minimal and clear on your computer and then spend that time handwriting them. Write them in your book, write them on palm cards, on your mirror, wherever. This is great not only for speed, but it can help to get dates, quotes, and content into your head. And it is one of the most soothing things you can do right before an exam. I remember the mornings right before my HSC exams. I didn't want to topple my self-confidence or my calmness by testing content and realizing, oh my goodness, I forgot that one little thing. So I would sit with a green tea and just write out my notes, getting my hand and my brain warmed up. Number 3, you're not having your work marked in the right way. Marking is such an important way of improving your knowledge and your work. I used to think it was as simple as just sending it in to the teacher. And that is a great thing to do, but there are so many other methods you can use to mark that I wish I had been doing sooner. Firstly, before you hand anything in, run it through something like Grammarly. I actually bought Grammarly Premium for the year and I have no regrets, but you don't need to do that. Programs like Grammarly are great at picking up things that will annoy teachers, like syntax, homophones, using the wrong your, the wrong there, misusing words like effect or affect, and it gets rid of Americanizations. Welcome to the land down under where English teachers hate to see Zs where there should be an S. Yes, okay, so Grammarly or something like it. Secondly, you should aim to handwrite anything before you hand it in, even if you're emailing it in. And you should do that for all the lovely reasons I mentioned before. Thirdly, peer marking. This is actually something I only got into just before the HSC exams. Peer marking will change your life. It will save you. I cannot sing enough praises for peer marking. I'm talking about swapping essays or practice papers and marking them on something like Google Docs. Obviously, you want to try and swap with someone who does well in the subject, but even if neither of you are straight 90 students, this method still works really well. This is because it's often a lot easier for someone else to spot an error, suggest an improvement, or offer a new perspective. And apart from teachers, no one knows the syllabus and the content as well as students. Especially with the new syllabus, when the teachers were kind of learning with us, I sometimes felt that my peers gave even better feedback, or at least feedback that was easier to understand and implement. Also, you get to read the content in a different form, which is really good for getting that into your head and also sharpening your own work. Fourthly, yes, of course, send it in to your teacher, but don't just send it in or with something nice and little like, let me know your thoughts. I do that sometimes and I shouldn't have. Only do that if you honestly think, wow, this essay is perfect, which should be almost never. Always be specific with your concerns. It can be as general as, I feel like this essay is a bit too long. Can you let me know some of the weaker parts so I can consider cutting them out? Or it could be as detailed as,
I'm not sure if my second paragraph on the destruction of romantic ideals in the modernist era goes into enough depth, so please tell me if I should find some more evidence from the poems, or maybe support the argument with a quote from Yeagar's academic reading.
I can't believe I actually sent that. Always take a second to think about what you want out of feedback. You want to help teachers help you. And feel free to do the same with peer marking. Fifth, a note about online essay marking services. Now, I did actually try a couple of these before I really understood the benefits of peer marking. In my experience, none of the online essay marking services were that great, especially with the new syllabus, but that may change with time. I had the best experience with this one, which is essaymarking.com.au. Often these websites say they have HSC or VCE markers, but I got the feeling they had English markers who didn't give great feedback about, say, my essay on environmental ethics in Buddhism. But if you're looking for a different perspective, this can be good and they are cheaper than a tutor. Overall, opt for marking from a peer or a teacher. So those were the 3 things that I wish I knew before I sat my HSC and got my ATAR. How to pick subjects wisely, how to up my writing speed and exam strategy in general, and 3, how to have my work most effectively marked. Let me know if you have any questions or tips below, and I hope this helped.